How's it going, everyone? Um, Please God, this live stream doesn't cut out. It's important. So today I'm going to talk about men's mental health. I'm also going to share my story. This isn't easy for me to talk about. I'm quite scared to talk about this stuff. This is something that I've wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about this for many years, but it's been very difficult to talk about. So I'll do the best I can. There's been a number of events that have happened in my life in the last, I would say in the last 6 years, since I had a mental health breakdown. I'll speak about that, recovered from that. And I'm hoping, because I don't have all the answers, right? I don't think anyone does, so I don't want to put that sort of pressure on myself. But I'm hoping that this live stream can make a difference to men's mental health awareness, and that can lead on to a lot more support and understanding and solutions. So I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to give everything that I've got. I can't give any more than everything I've got. And I'm also going to raise a lot of positives as well. And this talk, this is dedicated to a good friend of mine who passed away, took his own life. I'm dedicating this talk to my good friend Nick Webb. This talk is also dedicated to all men all around the world who suffer with mental health problems, anxiety, intrusive thoughts. I'm dedicating this to you. It's also I'm dedicating this to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury has really helped me with my own struggles in every sort of way, and he's helped many people. So I'm dedicating it also to Tyson Fury. I really appreciate what he's done and what he continues to do. It's no words. And it's also me giving thanks to everyone that's helped me along my journey with my struggles with mental health. So dedicated to all those people as well, trying to think as well. I'm going to also dedicate this talk to David Goggins, because David Goggins has really helped me to think about my mental health actually in more of a positive way, and using it as a way of getting stronger and being a better person. So I'm going to dedicate it to him. I'm also going to dedicate this talk as well to my nan, because my nan is just the kindest person that I've ever met in my life. And I know I'm biased because it's my nan, but I think everyone should feel like that. If it wasn't for my nan, I don't know if I'd be alive right now, because when I was at some of my worst struggles when I was in my 20s, my nan was really the only person that I could fully trust and be vulnerable when I was struggling mentally. She'd always be there to help me. She'd never make me feel ashamed. She'd never make me feel less of a person. I never felt judged. I was always loved. I'm very lucky for getting the help and support from my nan. So that's a big thanks. And to any of you who are doing their part as well, I appreciate that. So we'll get into it. But yeah, I don't really know where to start, so I'm going to take my time. It's not an easy thing to talk about, but I'm trying to get a bit more better at talking about it and getting a bit braver. So, okay, so mental health, where do we start? Very difficult to talk about. Okay, so I'm gonna start off by first of all celebrating my friend's life. So obviously a lot of you don't know. One of my best friends, not really fair to say best friend, because anyone that I've really been close with and I love is my best friend, but he was my best friend, Nick. He was amazing person. He was only 47 years of age, lived a great life, and he took his own life. This is about, I don't know now, less than a year ago, and it's not been easy for me dealing with it. It's been very difficult, as a lot of you can imagine. Losing someone, is difficult anyway, but someone taking their own life to suicide, who is such a great person, is difficult, but it's motivated me, given me that extra strength to face my fears and talk about this stuff, raise more awareness and do more. And I know that Nick would have appreciated it, and what I can say is we had such great times with him. I couldn't have asked for any more of a friend, and a lot of what we did is what I'm doing now. We had a coffee. I love coffee. We had great conversations, and he was a great friend to me, and I know I was a great friend to him. I meant a lot to him. He told me that, and so, you know, I want to celebrate his life as well, because as I said, he achieved a lot. He was a really brave person. You know, he was loved. People loved him. When I went to his funeral, I knew people were just like, everyone said good things about him, and I knew him personally. And when I was at Nick's funeral, I got there a bit early, and obviously, you know, it's a hard day for everyone, right? So my prayers go out to his mum, his family, and all of his friends. So I got there early, and when I was waiting in the reception, there was an older gentleman came up and started to speak to me. Lovely man, he was with his wife. And he, you know, he just said to me, he said, "Oh, you know, I know who you are." He goes, "You know, you're Nick's friend. He told me a lot about you," and it meant a lot to me. I felt emotional. He said, "You know, he just really spoke highly of you," and he really loved Nick as well. He was a friend of the family, so we got talking, and it was lovely of this man. I don't know his name, but he was an older gentleman. It's a lovely human being. And you know, I got speaking to one of Nick's really good friends that Nick told me about when he was alive, from Ireland, and we had some really kind words at Nick's funeral. And I actually met Nick's friend on the way home on the train, and you know, we had a hug, and we were just devastated. But yeah, I met Nick around. Well, I was in hospital in 2017. I came out of hospital. I think I met Nick in around 2019. It might be a bit before that. No, sorry, it was before that. Maybe 2018. I met him through a friend. And the first time I met Nick, I can honestly say, I just liked him straight away. I just knew that he was a good person, and I felt a connection. And I know he felt the same. And you know, you don't have that with everyone. I wish you did, but you don't. You know, you meet some people in life, and you know, and you just get this feeling that you know each other, you know, beyond, you know, what's your name. And we had a lot in common anyway. You know, we both loved bodybuilding, we both liked martial arts, we both liked the 80s, and we both liked, you know, self-improvement, and we both liked, you know, spirituality, and believed in God and things like that. And, you know, Nick had a great sense of humour. So I had so much in common, and you know, and I said to him as well, you know, even though we grew up in different areas, he reminds me of some of my old friends, even though he's, Nick was 7 years older than me. So we kind of had a lot of commonalities growing up, you know. We both got bullied growing up, and we both had to kind of stand up for ourselves. So we had a lot in common, you know, and I know a lot of you would have loved Nick. You know, he's on some of my videos actually. He mentored me in personal training, so we just had a great friendship. You know, that was what was lovely about it. There was no agenda. You know, we didn't want anything from each other, which I really liked. And we both had trust issues, and we both dealt with mental health, and that's why I got on with him. You know, he was just an amazing person. So it's obviously I'm devastated that he passed away, and I am grieving, but at the same time, I feel so blessed and grateful that I had a friend like him, and the times that we had were just amazing. You know, we just had great times. It's not everybody that you can say you've shared your heart with, and you've grown together, and you've got great memories. So Nick's always going to be in my heart, and I'm always going to do the best I can to honour his name. So it feels good to get that out. So yeah, you know, mental health for men is a really, really serious issue. It's more serious now than I've ever seen it, right? So I'll come to that in a second. But yeah, I just want to, you know, take a little bit of time. I want to appreciate my friend, celebrate his life, and you know, this talk's dedicated to him. And you know, he had a great sense of humour. He, you know, he thought I was a bit crazy in a good way, and he would appreciate this, you know, and his spirit still lives on, and I feel it when I speak about his name, and I feel it. It's genuine. I feel his spirit, and his spirit gives me the strength, because I didn't have the strength to do this talk, not even a year ago. I didn't, and because of my faith, because of Nick, because of good people that want to help people and raise awareness, and going through that mental health breakdown and recovering, which I don't know how I done it. It was a miracle. It's given me the strength to speak out more, raise more awareness, and you know, make progress at the end of the day, because that's what we need. You know, it's not a quick fix, mental health, but it's all about making progress. But there are things that you can do each and every day that give you gratitude, enable you to live a better life. And you know, that's what I'm saying. My friendship with Nick, we had good times, always good times, but if I was down and I met up with him and had a coffee, I'd feel better again. If he was down, the same. So friendship, genuine friendship with people that you can trust and love and be vulnerable with, and not, you know, it can make a hell of a difference. And that was what I learned also through my recovery. Now, I lost my friend Nick. Now, obviously, before I met Nick, before I didn't know him, and before I had a mental health breakdown, when I was growing up, another one of my best friends, actually I've got to dedicate this talk to him as well, I forgot, he's one of my best friends growing up that I love, Alex, my childhood, I love him, I will always love him. So we grew up together, and then he suffered with mental health problems. He had a mental breakdown. Amazing guy, extremely intelligent, you know, his mum was amazing to me and family. We were like best friends. He used to come to my house. My mum knew him, my dad knew him. Just a great guy, you know. And he, you know, and he went to university, and there's so much going for him. And then, you know, he suffered with mental health, and I would go and see him at the time. This was a time when I always suffered with anxiety, but I didn't have, at that time, I didn't have like mental health problems, if that makes sense. But I always had anxiety, and we'll get to me in a second. So years ago, how old was I now? Must have been late 20s actually. I think it's when I started my business. I was starting to see my friend Alex. He was going through the mental health kind of program. So he'd been in mental hospital, they let him out. He was staying in like different accommodations, he was on the medication, and I was kind of like spending time with him, hoping that he was kind of like getting better. So I saw it one day. This is interesting. This was before I had a breakdown. I went into like it was like it was like a mental hospital. It was like a home, basically a home in West London for people that have got mental health problems. So obviously, because my friend Alex was going through it, that was where he was staying. He brought me back. I could visit, right? And when I went there, it was a shock for me. It was a rude awakening, because I'd never been around people that were really mentally ill and dealing with all sorts of mental health problems. And I'm not just talking about, you know, people that have got a bit of anxiety, because everyone's got anxiety, right? A certain amount of anxiety is healthy. But when you're talking about mental health problems, it's a lot more severe than just someone having a bit of anxiety, you know, because, you know, most people would get anxiety if they were doing a live stream like what I'm doing now, unless they're experienced. I don't really get it, because I love doing it, and I've had a lot of practice and experience, so it's not really triggering for me anymore. So that's kind of normal. Or, you know, you go on a first date, you're a bit nervous, or you've got a job interview, or you're going to give a presentation, or, you know, we all worry from time to time. That's normal. But when you're talking about mental health problems with things like paranoia, suicidal thoughts, intrusive thoughts, that's a different spectrum where it gets a lot more serious, and that's why I'm talking about it now, trying to break it up. So basically, when I went to see my friend Alex, I wasn't suffering from mental health problems. I always had some anxiety. I was always a little bit nervous socially, but I was good. And I was kind of spending time with my friend, supporting him, hanging out. And when he brought me to this place we were staying, I was quite shocked, you know, because I wasn't really educated. And they were all lovely people, but some of them were really, really ill. Like some had, you know, schizophrenia. You know, they were hearing voices, and I just, it really made me, it opened my eyes up to a world that I wasn't aware of, right? Like anything, you know, if you're not aware of, which is why we're raising awareness. And it gave me a lot of compassion, because, you know, when you're younger, or at least in my generation, people would make fun of people that were mentally unwell, and, you know, and obviously that's not right. But when people are young, you know, I'm sure people did it about me, right? I forgive them. And I know people did that about me behind my back, because people told me, and I just forgive them. When I was in hospital, you know, people would make fun of me and say, you know, Jonathan's gone mad, he's this and that. And that's the nature of people at times. They can be unkind, right? And we'll get to that in a second. So my experience many years ago, kind of opened my eyes up. Then a bit later on, I kind of just got on with my life. I would see my friend Alex a lot, and then he got moved out of that kind of, it was a home for people that are mentally unwell. He started to recover a bit. Anyway, so I kind of got on with my life, you know, had a girlfriend, built a successful business, was very happy. My mental health was in a really good place. As I said, I've always suffered with anxiety at different stages, times where it's been really good. And for me, it's really good when it's under management and I'm quite peaceful and joyful, a bit like how I am now. But there's been times where I've literally been in turmoil, and I'm going to get to that. So that's kind of given you some insight to some of my story, my experience with growing up, seeing it and kind of being around it. And I'm starting to become aware of how many people that I've grown up with that were just quote unquote fine, normal, you know, confident, fine, you know, going to university or having a career, and then they just broke down. Many people around my area, so many people that it's happened to. So back to my point. So I remember when my friend Alex was going through it, because you know, when someone's mentally unwell, they're very sensitive, you know. So I've learned from my own experience, sometimes you've got to be careful the way you speak to them, because when you're unwell and you're sensitive, it's hard to trust people. You know, you think people might harm you or they won't understand. So obviously I had a good relationship with my friend Alex. I knew how to talk to him. So one day I tried to speak to him and just say, look, like, if you don't mind me asking you respectfully, because you're my friend and I care about you and I love you, like, what is bothering you? Like, what is the sort of problem? Because I don't really understand it at the moment. I just know that you're going through mental health problems, but I don't quite understand it. What is it? And he'd say, you know, first he would say, I just get anxiety, I get stressed. And I was like, okay, I understand that. But then I was thinking, well, you know, everyone kind of gets anxiety. But then when he said to me, oh, I'm hearing voices. And I was like, really? Are you serious? He was like, yeah. I was like, well, what are the voices saying? He's like, I don't really want to talk about it. You know, they say bad things. So that's when I started to get a little bit more education on men's mental health. And then it would be, then he would express more that these thoughts were, you know, causing him a hell of a lot of stress and needed to take medication. And just couldn't really function at a certain point, wasn't able to work, wasn't really able to be around people too much, you know, and just wasn't really able to live a normal life, you know, like to have a relationship, to have friends, to go out, to go work, because it's just a debilitating illness. When it starts to get worse, it can literally, I've said it before, you know, any man of any age, if the mental health gets out of hand, they can't do normal things. And someone that hasn't had mental health, they don't understand what that's like, because they're just going from how they feel about themselves. But you really have to step outside of you and your shoes and be unselfish for a second. Think about what that's like, where someone has got a debilitating anxiety and stress and they're hearing voices. They've got intrusive thoughts that are not their thoughts. They don't want these thoughts, and they're threatening them or making them feel that they're going to die, they're in danger, or something bad's going to happen to them, and they've not done anything wrong, but they're dealing with these intrusive thoughts that are not theirs, but they feel real and they're attacking them. So it's basically like, you know, it's like being possessed by demons. You know, you don't want these things. So, you know, like growing up in school, if someone bullies you, you don't want them to bully you. You don't like it. It scares you. It makes you feel ashamed, and you feel, you know, they break your trust. So that's what it feels like with the mental illness that a lot of men are going through, that men are scared to talk about. They're being bullied potentially on a day-to-day basis, for some men on an hourly basis, by severe intrusive thoughts. And again, let me separate what's normal. Every normal person gets negative thoughts. You'd have them right now in the background. That's normal. Oh, I'm not good enough, or, you know, I'm going to let my family down, or I'm not attractive enough, or I'm ashamed, or I'm not doing enough in my life, or I'm worried that I'm not going to make enough. You know, these are all normal human thoughts. But when you've got severe mental health problems, it's not normal thoughts. It's abnormal. They're really, really severe. And I'm going to get to my experience with suffering from intrusive thoughts at times, and I'll get to that in a second. So, you know, when you say the word anxiety, from my opinion, that doesn't really sum it up. So when Tyson Fury shared his story, probably more than most people, I know what he goes through because I go through the same and I understand a bit more about it. So Tyson Fury is brilliant because he opened up and went in detail in his book, and he says it's not just anxiety. He said it's like being possessed. He has these intrusive thoughts. He has OCD. So a lot of it is OCD. It's an obsessive compulsive disorder where you get these thoughts and you feel like you're going to something, like you could just be sitting down with your family. Things are going fine. Nothing's wrong. You ain't done anything wrong. You're feeling it. All of a sudden, this horrible panic comes over, and this intrusive thought says something bad's going to happen to you today. And you're like, what? I haven't done anything wrong. I'm just having a nice time with my family, or I'm with my wife or my girlfriend, or with a friend, or could be with a client. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you've got triggered, and you try to say to yourself, "Look, it's just a thought. Don't worry about it." But it's not as easy as that, because that is part of the illness that so many men are dealing with. And that's what can lead a lot of men to committing suicide. Because I know, again, I can speak for what I do know. A lot of men who get mentally ill feel like no one's going to help them, no one's going to understand. It's not safe for them to open up. It's hard for them to trust people. They're going to be judged. They're going to be shamed. People are going to think that whatever they're going to, and they feel like it's almost like a death sentence. So they get to a point where they feel like there's no hope for them. So it would be a better decision for them to end their own life, which is no, of course not. We don't want that. There's always hope. But having had friends and lost a friend to suicide and been aware of other people, I may not know them fully, but I've heard about them. That's kind of what they feel. And I've done a little bit of research. And I just want to make a point of saying, I'm not a mental health expert. I'm not a mental health worker. And I'm not a suicide expert, but this is what I know. So if anyone who's listening, if you're struggling if you're suicidal, please get professional help. And I'm not a professional, right? I wish I could. I'm doing the best I can, but I'm speaking from my experience with losing a friend to suicide, my experience with having a lot of friends that have had mental health breakdowns, and my own experience from having a mental health breakdown, making a full recovery, but still battling myself at times. I know at any time I'm vulnerable to mental illness because it's always in the background. It can get triggered. So I hope that makes sense. But if you are out there and you're watching this, I promise you, I know you're scared, I promise you getting help will be the best thing you've done. I got help, right? And again, I want to be transparent here. When I had a mental health breakdown in 2017, I wasn't suicidal. I didn't want to take my own life, but I was frightened of dying, actually. I was petrified that my intrusive thoughts were going to kill me. I was hearing voices. I was very frightened of trusting people. I got very paranoid to an unhealthy level. And that's when, my parents got worried about me, and eventually they convinced me and I went to hospital and I got help, and it was the best thing I'd done. And then I heard Tyson Fury's story. So getting help is a strength. You're not a weak man for getting help, believe me. It doesn't matter how big you are. You could be 7 foot, 300 pounds. You're not a weak man. You're a strong man for getting the help. I've done it, I know what it takes. And it's a real strength to be vulnerable. And it doesn't matter, what you've got in your life or your reputation, because really your mental health is so important. So there's that. And obviously, there are professionals out there that know a lot more about it than I do, because I'm not qualified in regards to, I'm not a mental health worker, but I am qualified to share my story and, give people hope and help and raise awareness, and we can all do that. You don't have to be qualified to raise awareness. It's just caring about people. And I think that's what it is. A lot of men who are going through mental health, even though this isn't true, it's not true, but they feel, when they're in that state, they feel that no one cares about them. People don't care what happens to them. They're not going to understand, and that's what can send people over the edge. And there are people out there that care, but I think a lot of the times, those people might not know that you're suffering. And like I said, I was lucky when I was younger because I could speak to my mum about it. My mum was, she was really good, but she didn't understand all of it, and I could go to my nan. But even back then, when I look back, I didn't fully open up to my mum and my dad. and potentially, actually at my nan I did, because I was scared. I was younger then and I wasn't even fully aware of it. So sometimes the mental illness is so severe that even the men that are suffering from it are not fully aware of it, because there is a part of denial, there is a part of coping mechanism. And I've learned that throughout my journey, and it's been a continued thing. But the good news is, there's always good news, that there is hope out there. There's definitely hope out there. I've experienced it. And Tyson Fury overcame mental health and suicide, and so did I. And Tyson Fury's, what I really appreciate Tyson Fury, not just as a boxer, as a human being, is that he's still honest and vulnerable, that he still has struggles, and that helps everyone. And I still have struggles. That's why every single day, if I don't practice being disciplined, I suffer. My mental health can just go one click of a button and it can go in a bad place. So that's how serious I take it and have fun. So if I don't, get my sleeping routine right, if I don't, work on a business and work and pay taxes and make a living and help clients, if I don't go to the gym, if I don't communicate, it doesn't take much for me to go into a very, very dark place where I start thinking, this is really, really unpleasant. And like I said before, I'm not afraid to say it. In my early 20s, I was suicidal, and I was really thinking about taking my own life, because I just felt that there was no alternative, that I was trapped and I couldn't get out. And I remember my thought process back then, and I've shared this before, I'll share it again. It's not my thought process now, but it was in my 20s. I was living in Fulham Broadway. I had my own little place, which was lovely, and I was in between not working. I was on benefits, and I really, really wanted to work, because I hated not working. It made me feel terrible about myself, and I always felt better when I worked, and I was struggling to get a job because I was dealing with my mental health, and I really wanted to get a relationship. I wanted to get a girlfriend, have a long-term relationship, and I wanted to earn money and work and go out and have a nice life. But the thoughts I was having, panic attacks, anxiety attacks, trust issues, paranoia, shame, depression, it was debilitating. And I got to a point where I remember this very clearly, where I didn't want to leave my house. Like, I'd only leave my house to go and get some food from Sainsbury's, because eating was a big part of my coping addiction, eating a lot of food and chocolates. And I'd only really leave to go to the job, set a sign on, get food and come back. I didn't feel comfortable around people. I was too anxious, too paranoid. And I'd keep getting these thoughts that would say, I can't trust people, which was an intrusive thought. I'm never, ever going to have any money, so I'm going to be homeless, which is an intrusive thought. The next one is that if I talk about it, I'm going to get harmed. I might die. I might be locked up in a hospital. So these were the thoughts that I was dealing with in my 20s, and I couldn't talk about it, because I thought no one's going to understand. They're going to think I'm a crazy person, and it's going to put me in harm's way. So I just bottled it up. But bottling it up made it fester worse. It got worse and worse, and that's when I started to go. I remember I was in so much pain, and I remember when I was going to sleep, I was actually saying that I want to die in my sleep. Like, I was scared of dying, but I just wanted to die peacefully, because I just wanted to get out of the pain. And I just felt stuck in a rut. I couldn't get out of this predicament, and I didn't want to be in this predicament. I remember at the time, obviously I can forgive it now, but certain family members of my family were saying, I'm lazy because I don't work and I'm on benefits. But I remember thinking that they don't understand that I'm actually not lazy. I'm very hard working. I'm terrified to work, can't be around people. I'm scared that they're going to try and bully me, and I might get emotional, get angry. So they didn't understand, and I can forgive that now. But that was my thought process back then. Now, luckily, I didn't take my own life. I was able to talk myself out of it, and that was prayer got me through it. I prayed to God, I prayed to Jesus, and I begged God. I said, please help me. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to kill myself, but I'm running out of options here, and I just feel trapped. And my nan kept me alive, but I didn't want to keep pressuring her and stressing my mum out, because sometimes I'd call my mum up. My mum would have to talk me through a panic attack, calm me down. I was having these awful anxiety attacks. It was horrible, diarrhea. It was just a horrible way to live. It was just, I wouldn't want anyone to go through that. But luckily, when I prayed, I heard a message from Les Brown, and it inspired me. Then I went out and found the strength to face my fears, and then I got mentally well again through, like, getting building a business, helping people, going to the gym, boxing. So it weren't easy, believe me. A lot of people might think that it looked easy for me because they see me now how I've changed, but it wasn't easy. It was literally life and death for me. But luckily I had my nan. My mum was very supportive, and my nan, when I would speak to them. I had a few friends, and then boxing helped me, and then I eventually got a girlfriend later on, and I proved those thoughts wrong. But when you believe these intrusive thoughts, it's really, really lonely, really frightening, because someone who don't have mental health problems could easily say, that's just a thought. But when you're going through it, you don't believe that unless you've got experience of dealing with them. And I've got a bit more experience now. But even on certain days, I find it difficult when I get intrusive thoughts or strong thoughts that come on, and sometimes they don't go away easy. You can't just shrug them off, because an intrusive thought is aggressive. It's very different to your regular negative thought that, quote unquote, what society would say, everyone gets, which they do. So yes, negative thoughts are normal, anxiety is normal, worry is normal, the fear of what people think is normal, the fear of passing away, that's normal. But the mental illness, when it's severe, it's at an abnormal level that no person of any age or any background would be expected to just deal with. It's too much. It's a lot to bear for anyone. So what I'm hoping to do, obviously I can't force men, but if I can get more men to come forward and talk about it with their family, with professionals, or even if they want to just, find a positive way of finding someone that they can relate to, and then they'll make progress, because you always feel better when you get it out. You do. It's scary at first. It's scary for me, but when you face that fear and get it out, that's what actually gets you better. You actually get strength from getting it out. And I'm telling you, most men, including me, and I'm just getting more practice, most men would probably find it easier to go into a boxing ring and fight another man, and that's scary too. I've done that. They'd probably rather do that than sit down and do what I'm doing now and be vulnerable and say, I've got a mental health problem. I suffer with mental health. These are the things that I'm dealing with. These are the thoughts that I'm having. This is how I'm feeling. And I'm frightened, and I need some support and some help, and I want to get better. That's not easy to do. It isn't easy. And the only reason, well, there's a couple of reasons why I've got the courage to talk about it, and it's not been easy for me either. Number one is because I've suffered with it, so I've got full compassion. I know what it's like. Number two, because of my faith. Number three, because of the love that I got from my nan and the support she gave me and the trust I had with her and the help from my mum. Number six, because of the friends that I've been around. And number seven, because I went through a mental health breakdown and I was so broken that I got strength after, because I had nothing to lose, and I got help and I found my faith again. And my friend passing away, so number 8. So it's kind of 8 reasons as to why I can speak about it. I can speak about it a lot more better, and I want to get better at speaking about it, because it's still not easy for me. So if I can come forward and be vulnerable, and people think whatever they think about me because I'm successful and I'm wearing a suit and I like suits and whatever, but I've suffered with it. So if I can come forward and be vulnerable and say, I'm no better than anyone, you've got the same thing, then it might give you the courage to come forward and you'll start to improve, because that's how you get better with it. You get better by confessing it, getting it out, having relationships, talking, and then improving it as you go along. I promise you there's hope. You can definitely improve this. I'm living proof. 2017, I was so unwell mentally. I couldn't work, couldn't function, lost everything, right? I couldn't work. I couldn't communicate. I couldn't be myself. I was ill. I was suffering with, I had a psychotic episode, breakdown, and I was hearing thoughts, voices. I was scared. And 6 years later, I've made a full recovery. I'm off medication. I run a business now, changed my business. I pay my rent, taxes. I pay for everything, and I'm in a better place now. Obviously, where I am right now, I'm grieving the death of a friend, but from where I was, so if I can do it, anyone else can improve. Because I didn't think I could do it. I thought my life was over when I was in hospital. I seriously thought it doesn't get worse than this. The next thing is death. So, but that was because it weren't easy. I did say the word help. Yeah, I need help, and I'm going to accept the help when it came. So asking for help is something that men have to start to do if they want to get better. And I really do feel like society has got a responsibility to make it a lot easier for men to come forward and get the help that they need to get themselves well. And I agree with Fury, or to learn to manage it. Now with my mental health, same as Tyson Fury, I've had to learn to manage it, and I'm still working on, through my faith, my lifestyle, daily, going gym, things like that. I'm working on improving it. It has improved a lot. It has definitely massively improved. So, no different to anyone. There's hope for everyone. Yeah, because there's. I'm not going to get into negatives, but okay, we'll cover it. Yes, people are saying things now, like people are just throwing the word mental health around. They're kind of using it as a, it's just getting thrown around now, like a fashion statement for sympathy. And with that, I'm not really going to get into that, because that's just not genuine. Again, no one's perfect, but I'm not talking about that. We're not talking about someone who's got a headache or someone who wants attention. There's plenty of ways to get attention. We're talking about an illness, a mental illness, and there's a difference. And I can tell when someone usually is suffering from a mental illness, and they're not seeking sympathy or attention. It's a real thing. As I said, Tyson Fury's journey is real, and so is mine. You don't go through being in a mental hospital or having a breakdown and then recovering. That's genuine. Now, for people that go online and just say they're mentally ill every minute they get a bit of stress, I'm not really going to speak on that, right? I'm not going to get into that, but I'm just making a point of saying there is a distinction, there is a difference between someone just wanting attention. People do that today because of social media, and I'm going to try and have a better character, not judge that, and just say, leave it. No, it's a tough thing. When I was in hospital, they didn't have all the answers. They did their best. I spoke to doctors, psychologists, and they didn't have all the answers. They couldn't say, well, they couldn't say, Jonathan, this is the reason why you've had a breakdown. They didn't know, and they asked me. I said, I don't know. I can give you what I think. And they said, well, it was probably likely. It was a number of events. Of course, it was childhood. I knew it was trauma from my childhood, and that's generally where most of mental illness stems from. But it can also be genetic. It can be if you have a breakup in a relationship. So I'm still getting more educated on the matter, and like I said, it's daily progress. But the more we speak about it, the more we break the stigma, and the more men can separate identity with mental illness. And that's why a lot of men are scared to be vulnerable, because they feel like if they do that, people are going to disrespect them, they're going to be demasculated, and it's going to make them judged. It's not true. And I would say this. For anybody, and of course it happens, people can be nasty. If anyone is judgmental or nasty towards someone who's, myself or anyone who has a mental illness, then that's heartless. All I can do, and I practice, is pray for you, because that is a really, really nasty, unkind way to be. But look, I can understand people get angry, they're hurt, so it's not really gonna affect me. I've been through so much pain. I'm actually grateful. I'm grateful to be here and be alive. So yeah. That's mainly what I wanted to speak about. That's like the main, and I'm going to continue. And that's why I put out a lot of loads of stuff for free to help people and share my story. I want to go on more podcast shows. I've contacted a few. I've been unsuccessful on some, which is expected and fine, but I'm doing a good job on my platform, doing what I can, and that's all I can do. I can only do what I can. But if everyone does a little bit, we make a big difference. And I really want to, I want to turn negatives into positives, and that's what I've done in my story. That's what Tyson Fury done. So just because you've got a mental health problem, guys, doesn't mean you can't live an amazing life. I've lived an amazing life. And most of my strength has come from my mental health struggles. That's why I'm able, to do things that maybe your average person would be too scared to do, because they're a bit too worried about people judging them. And I'm used to it. I got judged growing up, bullied badly, hurt, but I also had a great life too. So it's not a sob story. I'm not a victim. So that's why, things like public speaking, training, teaching, doing things that are quite brave they're easier for me, because I kind of had to do it growing up. I had to be strong in those ways. But in other areas where a lot of people will be stronger than me, I'm weak, I'm vulnerable. So I can really struggle. If I'm just sitting at home and I'm not working, or I'm not going to the gym, or not doing productive things, that's where I'm very vulnerable with my mental health. I can start struggling with my thoughts, my emotions. So that's why I like to keep busy and focused, and be helping people, spending time with friends, or going out, going for walks, traveling. That's really been a great therapy for me. Exercising, dieting, training. That's why I say boxing is great therapy. So we have got a lot of knowledge on what does help for mental health, and it's really simple things. It's things like going to the gym, working out. It's eating a healthy diet. It's practicing gratitude. I love speaking and helping people. So it's being creative. And when I was in hospital, they said that some of the first questions they asked me when I was on my way to get recovering is, do you exercise at the gym, Jonathan? Are you doing activities? How is your diet? Because there's enough research out there. They know quite a lot in regards to what are the therapies that help. But to actually solve the actual problem, that's still an ongoing study and conversation, because throughout history mental health has plagued human beings, but it seems to be more prevalent now than it's ever been. I've never seen so much mental illness amongst men in all my life that I've seen of recent. Even when I grew up, you'd see it, but not as bad now. It's like everyone's having a lot of men suffering. So something needs to change. Something's going wrong in our culture, in our society. And I'm going to mention this, right? I actually, another friend of mine growing up, another friend that I love, we grew up together. We were, childhood friends. Used to come to my house. I went to his house. We met each other in primary school. He's moved on my road, and he called me the other day. I love him. We're friends. We're both 40, and we've known each other since we were kids, And I helped him to carry a settee up, and he said, "Oh, my sister's upstairs." And I went, "Oh, great." And I haven't seen his sister in 40s, so 25, 30 years, and I've only seen his sister a few times. I know his mum well. So when I saw his sister, she didn't remember me, and I said, "That's fine." And she was lovely. I got talking, and for some reason we talked about mental health came up, and his sister said to me, his sister's in her early 40s, right? And she said, "You know what, Jonathan, men's mental health at the moment, there needs to be more done." She was so compassionate. I really appreciated it. She inspired me to talk more. She said, a man should be a man and should be strong, that's fine, but he shouldn't feel that he can't cry or be vulnerable or show his emotions. And I just said, "You know what, I appreciate it." And she said, "Give me a hug." We had a hug, and we had a great conversation. And my friend, her brother struggles now with mental health problems. He's a good friend of mine. He tried to take his own life. Lucky he survived. Jumped out of a top floor window. It's another close friend of mine. Could have died. And he told me he struggles with thoughts, voices, intrusive thoughts. So there are a lot of people out there that are compassionate, and I really, really, really appreciate it. Coming from a woman as well, supporting men. But there's still a lot of people, I think, that lack compassion. Now, I can only come up with two reasons why. Number one is because they just lack compassion. What do you say to that? and number two is because they are compassionate, caring, but they're not educated. They don't understand, which I can understand. If someone doesn't understand something, then you could make the argument that they're not being uncompassionate or judgmental. They just don't know what it's like. Maybe they've never had anyone in their family. But listen, suicide is a traumatic, tragic thing, and it can happen to anyone. So having experienced it now, it's not anyone, and there's so many people that go for it. Anyone who is watching this, who has had it, all I can say is to you, I don't have all the answers, and I know how you feel, because I've gone through it, and it is heartbreaking, but I'm trying to be strong in a way and celebrate the person's life, and do good by the person, and that's why I'm speaking out on it as much as I possibly can, and sharing my story as well to give people hope, because I know that a lot of men today, because I get it on my live stream, they're lacking in hope, and they feel that there is no hope, but my faith tells me that there is hope. My experience tells me that with the help of extra people, there's always hope. But yeah, like I said, another thing I'm going to mention, everyone's mental health is going to be a bit different. So I can't 100% know exactly what your mental health is, because mine's going to be a bit different to yours, and I manage mine my own way. So that's where I don't think we're not going to have a one-size-fits-all like most things. We need, obviously, that's why you need to go and see a professional that you can trust and relate with. And that's what Tyson Fury did. I'm sure from his story, I remember him saying he went about and he found the right person he could connect. It was the same for me. Not everyone could help me when I was struggling on my journey, because some people I didn't trust. Some, they were nice, but I just didn't connect with them. And I found people through my mental health breakdown and recovery that I could trust. And it was a particular amazing support worker called Ben, who literally was a saving grace to me, because he was just great with me. He didn't judge me. He didn't make me feel like a sick patient. He didn't look down on me. He spoke to me like a human being, and he really helped me to get well again when I was going through my mental health journey. So there is hope, like I said, but and I want to make a point of saying, I can't speak for everyone, but when you recover, I've recovered from mental health breakdown. I'm probably in a better place than I've ever been, but that doesn't mean I don't have challenges. Like I said, I still am vulnerable, and I'm still prone to mental health. That's why I really look after myself, because I know if I don't, then I can get on well again. I won't be able to have a career, be a mentor, teach people how to change their lives and raise awareness, and I won't be able to have a life in my personal life. So it's something that needs to be taken pretty serious, very serious. And the friends that I've spoken to that I'm close with who have it, they feel very similar to me. But on a positive note, there is progress. It's not just, there are more people speaking out, but we still need more done. And I try and look for positives. It is getting better, but sometimes things have to get really bad before, they seem to get better and things get done about them. But yeah, I'm going to do another video. There is life outside of mental health. I am proof. Any of you out there, and I mean for women as well, right? Even though this is for men, but I wouldn't exclude women. And I'm going to do a separate one soon, because when I was in hospital, both men and women, right? But I'm just saying at the moment there is a struggle with men more, because of the whole pressure around being a man, not being able to show feelings and emotions because you're perceived as being weak, which is not true, definitely not true. So you can live a great life, and I was able to do that many years in my life, and so I'm proof that you can still be positive and successful and happy even if you've got mental health. And Tyson Fury's proof of that as well. Many people are, we forget that. Many of my heroes, not all of them, but a lot of them have got mental health problems, and they still have been able to live a great life and be a positive example. So just because you've got anxiety or depression or whatever mental health problem you've got, personality, whatever the case may be, you can still live a great life if you, go to the gym, eat healthy, Get the help that you need, have good relationships, good people that you like, not give up, share your story, educate yourself. You can do it. I'm no different or better than anyone, and I've done it. Has it been easy? No, it hasn't been easy. Really hard, but at times it's been easier. It's give and take. So there's always hope. Always hope. Contradictory, funny enough. Usually people that have got mental health problems are usually in other ways more stronger than people that don't, and I've tried to explain that. It may not be logical from my own experience with that, and observing others. It's because we suffer a lot. We're used to suffering. We've got quite a high tolerance to pain and stress and discomfort. So doing things like public speaking or traveling or swimming, I was going to say swimming with sharks, like that's one fear I haven't done. Anyone out there, I applaud you. It's almost like a relief. And I know that was the case for me when I was really struggling at different stages. I was like, you know what? I'm literally being tortured by my own mind. This is hell for me. Anything's going to be better than this. So I'd rather just go down the boxing gym. Even if I get my head punched in, it's going to be less painful. And it was actually better. And then I actually felt better. So, a lot of things that a lot of people are scared to do, a lot of things that people used to judge me for, they don't have the courage to do it because I've got a high tolerance to mental and emotional pain. All right. No, I haven't been to. I did walk through Hyde Park recently. Yeah, I like Hyde Park. I grew up in there. So, but yeah, I like to have a break from it as well because I don't like to get bored of something. I like. How have all of you been anyway? We'll get some questions going. But yeah, I feel good that I've got this out. I feel like I've done the best I can, and that's all I can do. And as I said, really do appreciate, and there's been quite a few people, anyone, men, women, whoever they are, anyone that speaks out on this, I really appreciate you. It means a lot to me because I know what it takes, especially people that have got a platform or people that are, are successful, however you term that. So it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable and, share a part of yourself with others to help them. At the cost of being judged and potentially ridiculed and all those sorts of things. But yeah, there's always good people out there. There's always people. Now, of course, like I say, from a sufferer's point of view, people, trust is a big issue. It really was a big issue for me, and I know that from friends, and I know that from hearing Tyson Fury's story. But, of course, you can't trust everyone. I mean, that would be foolish, as much as I'd like to be naive. But there are people that you can trust, and you've just got to sometimes follow your intuition in your heart, and you get a feel from people, and that's what I do. So, there are good people that understand, and you can get well again. You can get better. That's the thing with mental health. However severe it is, it can get better. I've done it. Proof. Done it several times, and many people have. But you've got to get the help that you need. And the good. See, the thing about getting help, a lot of the mindset of people that feel ashamed or they're scared to get help, or they think people are going to think they're not strong. Getting help is not, it's not forever. It's for a certain period of time until you've got the strength to help yourself, and that's what happened to me when I was in hospital. Yeah, I'm in great shape. Thank you very much. Dieting and training is how I lost weight. I lost over 40 pounds from 2017 to now. So I'm in great shape. Anyone can do it. I put a lot of all my stuff online for free for people that want to do it. I've shared my story. So yeah, exercising and dieting. I eat a healthy diet. I have some unhealthy food, but I keep it moderate. I minimize it and eat a lot of healthy food, drink water, veg, fruit, avocado, chicken breast, salmon, veg, broccoli, all that kind of stuff, water. So yeah, I have lost weight, thank you. On the topic of weight loss actually helps mental health. The more you exercise, the fitter you are, the fitter your mind is. So yeah, hopefully this stream will go out and it will raise more awareness. I know it will. It will reach the right people at the right time, and it will inspire, any men that might be at breaking point to go and get professional help. Go and speak to doctors, speak to your family. Hopefully you'll get inspired by my story if you're feeling really unwell, or if you're at a stage where you've made progress, and hopefully my stream, my story will give you inspiration to keep going and keep making progress, and you want to help more people. That's really what it's about. For me, it was always in my prayers, if I can improve my mental health, I'll help the next person. In regards to staying present, I think a lot of it is living, Jason. It's doing what I'm doing now, is communicating, not putting pressure on yourself to be present, because sometimes when you try and be present, you end up doing the opposite. So working out helps me, Jason. Going for a run, I went for a run today. Running a business, basically being active, being practical, getting good sleep. Just sort of, basically keeping my mind occupied and doing positive things, really. So living a positive lifestyle helps you be more present. So training, exercising, dieting, cleaning, finding environments where you feel comfortable, Jason, getting a coffee. I like nice places, or, coffee shops, all sorts of places where I can relax, and I like coffee. Coffee's my treat, because I don't drink alcohol, so it's kind of a way of rewarding myself. So getting a coffee, sitting down, and sometimes I have to talk with a friend or with a client or with myself, pray, do a video, and that gets me more relaxed, more present. So it's really finding activities that relax your mind. When you get present when your mind's relaxed, and it's not focused on worrying. So it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy for me as well. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it isn't. But I'd say they're all the things that I do, Jason. Try them. Yeah, communicating, being honest, being yourself, that helps to be present. Creating, being creative, so writing, making YouTube videos, or creating a business or your hobby. We're all creative people, so creating does that. Getting a good night's sleep, dieting, all those things. Probably going to finish up soon now. I'm tired, man. Thank you for that, Jason. I was going to say as well, if there's anyone watching, if you've got a good platform and you're genuine about helping people, you can invite me. I'd love to come on your podcast show. I can share my story more. I'm an open book. I'm happy to share my story to help more people. As you can hear, it's been a lot. A lot has gone on with my story, not just with me, with with friends, losing a friend to suicide, and being around it and learning, and so I can speak on that and share that and raise more awareness. So many people suffer with it, man. And honestly, it doesn't matter what you've got. You've got celebrities. You could have millions, and this illness, it really doesn't care about what you've got or who you are. Everyone's affected by it, which is why you need to have more compassion towards men and people of It doesn't matter what position they're in. It's still human at the end of the day. You've got feelings, you've got family, and it affects people. I wasn't even, when I was younger growing up, I didn't even know what it was. For me, I would just be like, I'm feeling nervous, I'm feeling scared. That's kind of was my basic knowledge. I didn't really understand, mental health problems or intrusive thoughts or paranoia. These were things later on that I got a bit more educated on. Because you only know what you know when you're born. You have a certain amount of intuition and knowledge, which can be a lot of what you're taught, what you're told. But it really wasn't that. It wasn't really commonly spoke about growing up. It was more a stigma thing. It was more like, oh, that person's crazy. Or you see someone on a movie running around going crazy. So the information that I had was limited, and I never even knew that I had it as a kid growing up. I didn't know. I knew something wasn't right at times. I knew that I got depressed, I got anxious, I worried a lot, but I didn't know it was I didn't know that it was a mental health problem. It was only to a lot later when it started to get worse, and that's when I realised something isn't right here. And then later on, I start seeing many people suffering from it, some worse than me, the same. So it's been an ongoing educational experience throughout my life. But yeah, I would say from what I understand people a bit more. I think men just appreciate when people care, even if someone says, look, I don't really understand your mental health problem, but I do care, just someone caring. And that means a lot. It doesn't cost any money to care. It costs a little bit of courage, a bit of empathy. But I also try to be forgiving and compassionate, which is something that I'm working on and getting a bit better at. It used to frustrate me a bit for people that are quite cold and they don't have much affection and care and understanding for men's mental health, or men that have got a mental health problem, because they're just not educated, or maybe it's not easy for them to show that type of empathy, and it might make them, makes them scared or whatever. So I realise that that's going to be an ongoing thing, but I'm not going to let that stop me, and not going to give up hope. There's always hope, and things can actually get really good. I mean, my life got amazing, not despite having a mental health breakdown, but because I had the breakdown, and after that my relationships got a lot better with people, and it's continued. So I said I really want to share a positive story, and this is all this account of what I'm sharing and been through is completely true and accurate to date. So we'll just have to see where it goes. I think one day at a time, that's what helps me. I know Tyson Fury is the same, and he says the same thing. Tomorrow's not promised, and a lot of people who have mental health problems worry a lot about the future, and I have that tendency. I'm working on it and getting a little bit better. So the way to reduce worry is just to go, look, one day at a time. We can only do one day. I'm not going to start getting into what could happen in the future, because that's just going to stress me out now, and I'm not going to be able to enjoy my life. So we'll take one day at a time and just go from there, do the best we can. Anyway, I think that would be it for today. It's been a long day, but yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So I hope this helps a lot of men raise more awareness, and don't give up. The last thing I'm going to say, try my daily discipline routine. So every day, try to wake up a bit early if you can. Don't beat yourself if you can't make the bed. Clean your apartment. Start to eat a healthier diet. Go to the gym. Speak to people if you need help. Get professional help, or if it's not the point where you need professional help, but you just need to talk to someone, find a community. Come onto my channel, and if you start exercising a bit more, you will feel a lot better. And I forgot to mention Ronnie O'Sullivan, another mental health sufferer who is a great ambassador, has been a great inspiration for me. Best snooker player that ever lived, and I love snooker. And what Ronnie's done for me and for others is amazing. He's been vulnerable and honest about his struggles, and he's made progress. And that's all you can do. That does a lot. You open up, you share with other people. It makes people feel they're not on their own, and it gives them strength. So Ronnie O'Sullivan has been fantastic as well for me personally, and a lot of people. Him and Tyson Fury. I mentioned a few other names, and these are some of the heroes that you grow up watching. And if the heroes can be vulnerable, and they're just the same as all of us, then we don't have to feel ashamed. We can get inspired. Go, if Ronnie can do it, I can do it. Ronnie's got mental health problems, but he's still been able to be the best snooker player. He lives a great life. He's fit. He trains. He's got over a lot of issues. He's improved a lot. If Tyson Fury can do it, I can do it. Of course you can do it. We're all human at the end of the day. We're all human. So we'll end on that note, and appreciate everyone coming on. And I'll speak to all of you soon. Right? Have a good one.